Hi Stackers, Regal Stacker here. Well, I don't see much of this on the internet or on the papers and anywhere else really. I don't know whether people know, but they are taking the mickey out of us. This is the headline: do you have a Brex, have a Kit Kat? Bombshell tapes reveal how top Whitehall officials compare Brexit to a Kit Kat with a chocolate layer hiding UK ties to Brussels. So basically, they're laughing at the British worker, the British people, and they're going to join the EU army whether we're in or out, or we're secretly in the EU. People need to stand up to this. This is a joke. People voted to leave, and they're not doing anything about it. They're hiding it. Ever since we voted to leave, the Conservatives have been signing up to the EU army over the past two and a half years. 2 years. Nearly 2.5 years. So they've been signing up every so many months to different parts of the EU army, and we don't see it. But what we need to do is we need to take a look at this. This is by UK Column, and just listen to this.
Servant Victoria Billing OBE laughs as public and voters deceived. Now this is the so-called Kit Kat tapes. Underneath I've put "they have control." This is a statement that's been made to David Ellis by an MP that we're not allowed to name at the moment, but that MP clearly very worried about what he has started to understand is going on in Westminster. And his response to this expose is they have control. So this is a group buried within the government who are now controlling things. Well, we've got to say thank you to the Sun, because it was the Sun that decided to break this story. Don't have a Brex, have a Kit Kat. Bombshell tapes reveal how top Whitehall officials compared Brexit to a Kit Kat with chocolate layer hiding UK ties to Brussels. Now, don't misunderstand this. This was a secret meeting at the London School of Economics in which high-level British government officials were laughing at the public. The story was also covered a bit later, but the Express revealed civil servants plan UK to fund EU army post-Brexit, caught on tape. And they mention a particular senior civil servant, Alistair Brockbank. He's a defence and security advisor for the Cabinet Office. I think that's him circles, but I'm not entirely sure. If anybody can help us on that, please let us know. Let's have a listen to what was caught on that tape.
On our side, on the Trump Police Defence, we're actually looking for something which I normally call a patchwork, but somebody yesterday called a Kit Kat, which I rather liked, where you have the kind of cover of you have the kind of political framework cover, but underneath you have a series of different agreements.
So the heart of that is that basically she is boasting about running a soft, visible campaign to the public, but underneath that all the detail is taking place, and she likens it to the sort of chocolate layer on a Kit Kat, hiding those layers. And she laughs and the audience sniggers at the same time. This is a meeting held in the London School of Economics. It was a secret meeting held under Chatham House rules, and yet there were officials there from UK government meeting with European officials and officials from other overseas countries. What were they discussing? How the British public was to be deceived that under so-called Brexit, we were to continue funding the EU military project. And of course, we have been warning what that is really saying is that UK is to be subsumed into EU military unification. So here's the London School of Economics. We spoke to them this morning. They felt that it wasn't really important enough for them to have made any sort of public media statement. They openly admitted that individuals booked them for secret meetings where discussions were held under the famous Chatham House rules. That means that you can say what was said, but you mustn't say who said it. And of course, Common Purpose was the organisation who loved that. Let's have a look at some of the people that they show here. We've got Johan Berglund, Swedish Embassy in the UK. Victoria Billing, that was the lady that you heard speaking, UK Department for Exiting the EU. Alistair Brockbank, UK Cabinet Office. He's the senior defence man or security man. We've got Giannucci Brusco, Italian Embassy to the UK. We've got another Italian man. We've got Belgium. We've got the French Embassy. We've got Poland. We've got Sarah Winter, Forest Security and Policy Unit, Foreign and Commonwealth Office. And we've got the Embassy of the Republic of Poland. Who's in charge of the whole London School of Economics? It's a lady called Nemat Shafik. She is Egyptian by birth, I believe. I was fascinated to see that prior to taking over the London School of Economics, she was Deputy Governor for the Bank of England. It's amazing who you find, isn't it? And they were very brusque when I called them. I don't think they liked my call, but here we are. We haven't made a statement so far. We do hold these private meetings, but they're under Chatham House rules. So let's have a look at Victoria. Very difficult to track down. I can't be more explicit than this because of who owns the pictures, but the lady circled received an OBE in 2008 for her services. Where had she been working? She'd been working as Deputy Consul General, British Consulate General, Jerusalem. This is the woman sniggering at the fact that the British public are being deceived, and she was happy to do that with others in a secret meeting. If you want to track this through for yourselves, this is a document we found talking about the posts overseas from the Commonwealth Office in London. Here's the Jerusalem connections, and there's Miss Victoria Billing. So this wasn't some silly young schoolgirl who was doing this. This is a senior civil servant. Deceit, deception, lies, secret meetings, actions behind closed doors. David, just a short response, and I'll follow on with some of the responses we've had from other politicians.
I was looking while you were talking at Alistair Brockbank's LinkedIn page, so you might be interested to know that he has a BA from King's College London in War Studies and History, focusing on counter-terrorism, intelligence sharing and former Soviet Union relations. And he followed that up with a Master's at Cambridge, Master's philosophy, focusing on security sector reform in post-conflict states. So that's where he's coming from.
Fantastic, isn't it? Okay, well, let's have a look. There were some comments by a variety of people. We picked up on what Mr. Rees-Mogg had to say. He said this: it is wrong for British civil servants to be briefing the other side, except in a formal negotiation context. Former civil servants rounded on Brexiteers a few months ago and compared them to Nazis for questioning the traditions of the civil service. And now we have civil servants appearing to brief against their country. Well, there's no appearing, Mr. Rees-Mogg, at all. They were doing it and they were recorded doing it. Is this sedition? Some people might think it is. But how remarkable that if you call for Brexit, you are a Nazi. What a wonderful country we live in. The Kit Kat comment is a clear attempt to hoodwink voters. This looks like a clear attempt to fix the game, and this must be formally investigated urgently. So this is remarkably serious stuff. We understand from David Ellis this morning that this has really caused some shockwaves in Westminster, where MPs, a small number, but some MPs are now starting to ask the right questions. And we'll just bring in this. This is part of the Twitter page for the Department for Exit. And I posted on it, this is one of the things we're encouraging people to do, what has the department got to say about senior civil servant Victoria Billing on tape laughing at the deception of the British public over Brexit and EU military unification in secret. So there it is pinned on their page. But down at the bottom, if we blow it up, somebody had already got in saying, I would like to report a crime, please. Theresa May for treason, action of betraying one's country, and deception, obtaining money, goods, services through lies. She lied to the electorate to gain power. Brexit means Brexit. She's lying to keep the British citizens as slaves. Interesting, the public coming forward. And to remind ourselves how dirty this deception is, let's look at this man, Alistair Brockbank. This is some of the quotes attributed to him. The UK would continue to make significant contributions to EU defence and foreign policy projects after Brexit, claiming they are plans we're all interested in. The country may help to fund Jean-Claude Juncker's plans for an EU army known as the Permanent Structured Cooperation, PESCO. Well, of course, it's not an army, it's full military unification. He claimed the civil service are negotiating the detail of that at the same time as we're discussing the political high-level fluffy bits that will go into any declaration that gets made public. They know what they're doing, Mike. They're declaring what they're doing, deceiving the public while we are locked further into the European Union. And David, you got there before me, but if people want to see what this man is, here it is. And it's taken him just 5 years to move from a researcher into the inevitable charity to a highly influential defence and security policy advisor in the Cabinet Office.
How do you do that?
How do you do that? I think this is another man groomed for the job. I think this is of the mould of Common Purpose. I can't say he is a Common Purpose graduate, of the mould of Common Purpose. And the language of that MP, they are in control, is saying we now have a cabal buried in the government, certainly buried in the Cabinet Office, which are now taking control. There is no democracy in it.
Well, you've seen what they're saying. You know, it is a joke. You know, they're going behind our backs, and they're just going to do something about Brexit. They're not going to let us go, or they're going to keep it undercover. So these people need to be fired. You know, anyone who votes Conservative or Labour in an election, you're just voting for liars. They're only looking out for themselves. So come on, people, we need to stand up to this. Let's get that Victoria, whatever her bloody name is, fired. She needs firing. So does that Brookbank. They need firing. You know, he's meant to be helping with the exit. That's leaving the EU. But look what he's doing. You know, he's organising for us, the British taxpayer, to pay for the EU army. You know, and it's got to stop. Your comments. This is Regal Stacker. I'm out of here.